Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm here with the original 1954 Godzilla SH.Monsterarts figure. This was originally released in 2016, but last year, I think it was around July 2020, they did a re-release, which is awesome. So that's when I picked up this bad boy. Before we kick him out of his cardboard cage, let's check out the box design and layout. One thing I love about the design of the boxing is the claw marks along the top and sides. It kind of helps bring that kind of fierce Godzilla feel to the packaging, which is cool. And on the front here we also have the Tamashii Nations quality seal sticker. If you're new to figure collecting, this is a good way to tell if a figure is bootleg or not. So yeah, let's swivel around. On the back here we have a nice selection of promo pics showcasing the different poses that he can perform, which is awesome. And down the bottom here there's a small blurb and comment from the sculptor himself, Sakai Yuji. If you're new to figure arts or Godzilla stuff in general, he's a really famous sculptor for Godzilla and kaijus in Japan. But yeah, that basically sums up the box. So let's crack him out and get a closer look. Oh yeah, check him out. Damn, he's a fine figure. And those beady eyes on him are just too good. It really captures the look of him, and just that image I have when I think of V54 Godzilla is just those little bit eyes looking down on you across the mountain hills and onto the village as the little bit peasants are running for their life. So yeah, the Godzilla himself, he stands at about 115mm tall, and I'd say his length from probably his front legs all the way down through his tail is about 200-220mm, so he's got a decent length on him. On the back of the box, like I usually mentions, the monochrome colouring they went for. And yeah, the original movie, if you haven't seen it, is black and white, because it's from 1954. That's like, what, 67 years ago. It's crazy when you think about it. But yeah, anyway, the colouring, it looks awesome as a black and white figure, but also in the real colour world that we live in, it looks really good. If you didn't know he was meant to be black and white, you probably wouldn't think twice about it. So that's one of the great things about this figure. He stacks up awesomely if you have other accessories, or if you're doing colour photos, if you're doing some toy photography or anything like that. So despite being from a black and white series, he still looks amazing as is. This figure comes with 0 accessories, so you only have a base figure to play with. But I mean, that's fine, because look at him, he's beautiful, awesome figure. And if you want to see some more close-up shots of this figure, a bit more detailing, I will take photos and I'll place them at the end of this video, as well as on Instagram over the next couple of days. So yeah, be sure to check those out. So now let's take a closer look at his points of articulation and range, and yeah, let's start with his tail. His tail alone has 16 points where it can move, and it really shows with a fluid range of motion, and it manages to hold the pose extremely well no matter which position you place it in. Moving up his spine, he has about 3 spots where he can articulate, though the movement is a bit more limited when compared to his tail. The main spot is this one right through the centre where he can kind of move. It's probably about maybe 5 or so mil it can move. Oh, and there goes the joint if you want to see what the inside looks like. So you can pop it off if you want, and you can see the joints inside, so that it will just pop back on. So that's one good thing about these, the joints are really nice and sturdy, but if you do push them too far, generally they'll just pop out and you don't have to worry about breaking anything, which is great. Okay, and so along his neck here, he's got a few points where he can move as well. Again, the motion's not too bad, it can move a decent amount, but if there's a bit more range it would be quite nice. Some of the joints, it can take a while to move, you kind of have to loosen up, especially if it's a new figure. So yeah, it's moving a bit better now. And some of his jaw is a bit tight, but if you kind of grab it on the top and bottom lip and kind of push, it will pop open. For his arms, he's got the shoulder, elbow and wrist joints where it can move. Again, the motion is pretty good, though the shoulder joint here and arm, it's not a perfect circle, it's kind of oval, so depending on the angle you might be a bit limited in the range of motion you can do, so you just have to swivel them out a bit more before you turn. But you can get up and down pretty well. The elbows are a little bit more limited in the range you can do, but for the most part, I believe that should be most of the range you need. It'd be good if you can go at it a little bit further, but it kind of gets stuck and I don't want to force it too much. And its wrist has some pretty good motion up and down. You can swivel right around and go back and forward pretty well as well. For the legs, this is basically exactly the same as the arms. You've got the inner hip area, which again is a slight oval shape, but you can kind of spread his legs pretty well. And then the knee joint as well. There's a decent amount of movement, so you can get that straight out. And it kind of bends up. But his feet is really nice. He's got kind of a double joint actually. You've got 1, 2, just the upper ankle and the lower ankle. And his foot can swivel right around, and you can get some decent tilting motion in there as well. I just love the spines on this guy, the lighter grey with the shadows from the texture on here just gives it amazing detail and contrast from any shadow and light bouncing off it, which is great. So while here is basically duotone, those kind of ridges and the shadows it causes gives it a lot more depth and detail than what you would expect. Especially when you're looking at it in person, it looks really nice. Okay, let's jump into some pros and cons for this guy. And starting with the pros, well, he's just an excellent representation of a 54 Godzilla. He captures that image and spirit of the original monster for me. I just can't get enough of those beady eyes, This is too good. It just almost kind of brings a smile to my face. And the proportions of this figure, when you think back to the original movie where they had a guy in a full-on suit, I feel it does capture that proportions and sizing pretty well, while still looking like an amazing monster. The sculpting and the colours work extremely well, so it suits the black and white essence of a movie, while still looking good in our colourful real world. As I was mentioning before, the sculpting and the texture on the spines is really good, especially with the shadows that it creates. I feel articulation wise is really good as well. I guess the elbows, if there's a little bit more range in there, that would be pretty good. You can't really get it fully straight, and there's a bit of a bend in there, so if you get them fully straight, that'd be quite cool as well. But at the end of the day, it's not a big issue for me. So yeah, let's jump into the cons. And yeah, it's really hard for me to find any real cons for him. I guess, yeah, as I was mentioning, the range in his elbow and maybe in his torso as well. If there's a bit more range there, it would be quite good. He's a little bit better now since I've been playing with him quite a bit. At first, the centre section is a lot more stiffer, but after playing around quite a bit, it has loosened up a bit more. And as you saw before, the middle section does pop off. So you don't need to be too worried about pushing it too far. There we go, I've taken him off again now. But yeah, despite my little grievances of the articulation, I'd say it's probably a lot better articulated than what the original suit had, and the actor who was in there, he was probably a lot more restricted with his movement compared to what this guy can do. So when you're taking that into consideration, yeah, not too bad. Okay, so that covers the pros and cons, and I would say if I could only have one SH.Monsterarts Godzilla figure, I would have to pick the 54 here. The probably Shin Godzilla might be a close second. But yeah, if there's one, I'd have to be the quintessential 54 Godzilla, just because he captures that look and feel and just looks absolutely amazing. Since he did get that re-release last year, he is still available on some online retailers, I believe. But the resale value at the moment, the second-hand market, isn't too expensive. So if you see him for a good price, I highly recommend grabbing him while you still can. Since it's going to be very unlikely that we'll get another release of this figure anytime soon. If you enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe, because I do want to do more videos like this, Shin Godzilla, Biollante, and a few others leading up to the 69 Godzilla, which comes out in August, I believe, in Japan. And then after that we've got Giga, and then there's the Godzilla SP, Mechagodzilla, and so forth. So if you enjoy these videos, please do let me know so I can keep doing them for you. And yeah, be sure to check out the photos of this guy at the end of this video and on Instagram. Again, thank you very much for watching. Cheers!